Hello, my beautiful souls. Welcome to the intuitive card reading for the week of December 15th through 21st. What do I need to tell you guys? Please like this video. Please share this video with anybody that needs to hear the energies and the influences of the week. What else? Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Comments down below. I'm using 3 decks already shuffled. You guys are familiar with those. Maybe I should warn you guys, I'm a little low energy. Okay, sorry about that, but I didn't get much sleep last night. I got 4.5 hours of sleep. Who knew that having hot chocolate at 6:30 at night, hot dark chocolate, would have the amount of caffeine that didn't allow me to go to sleep till 6:30. So that's my story. I have my water because I don't always feel the best when I don't get a lot of sleep. So let me just take a sip. All right, that's it. I'm ready to go. All right, let's go. What do we need? Father Sky, trust in the unknown. Okay, so we need to, I think we've actually had this maybe in this quadrant up here before, maybe a couple weeks back. I definitely remember messages around trusting the unknown, being okay with not knowing what comes next. You might be feeling maybe something's changing, but you're not sure what's changing. Or maybe you just quit your job. You just don't know what job you want next or what you want to apply for, etc. So something feels like it's up in the air, and this is basically saying like you need to kind of trust that you don't have all the answers. Your ego wants to know. Your ego wants to plan everything out, but you really can't. And so this is where it's saying it's really time to trust. Action needed, fork in the road. Okay, so this is really about, wow, okay, so maybe this has something to do with, obviously they just compare together because fork in the road is saying like you have 2 decisions to make. Sometimes it's multiple decisions, but this is to me is like you have path A or path B. Okay, so it's basically saying that we have to make a decision on something. You can either do something, or do the other thing. Pretty straightforward. However, it is probably, I wouldn't be surprised if we got some cards the rest of this reading about, lack of clarity or something like that, because it definitely feels connected to the Father Sky card where it's saying that we don't know. We're just kind of unknown where, path A will take me, path B will take me. So I don't know. This, I'm actually biased. As you guys know, I'm always leaning on the intuition, but obviously take your discernment with you, take your common sense with you. But this is saying, trust your intuition with it for sure. I actually would go with this. Okay, if you actually have 2 decisions where path A is going to send you here and path B is taking you into the unknown, I would choose path B, okay? Because this could also be alluding to that, saying like, actually, the unknown path is the one that's for you, that's best aligned for you, okay? Could be, again, that we have like a, confusion about where either path would take us, but this could also really be if you have 2 choices with one that's more predictable versus one that's more unknown. This is kind of saying, take the road less traveled. Is that what people say? Take the road less traveled. Don't necessarily take the very steady path. So this is what this is saying. I love that. It's scary. But honestly, like, it feels scary to me if I was thinking about, it doesn't quite resonate with me because I don't necessarily have a decision to make, but, I'll report back in the comments, towards the end of the week if something kind of pops up here, but that's scary. Sometimes stability is something, not sometimes, a lot of times stability is something that a lot of us need or want. And, it's a very common human thing to want. But this is kind of saying you kind of got to go with your gut and go with the, quote unquote, unpredictable one. So I love that. Scary, but also can be exciting. All right, what do we have? Issues with healer. Okay, passion to serve others by repairing the body, mind, and spirit, ability to help transform pain into healing. Okay, so we're having issues with being the healer in our own lives, not necessarily healing other people, but maybe we hit a snafu in some kind of healing journey that we're on. Maybe you have been unpacking your childhood trauma lately, or your anger issues or whatever you're kind of going through, and you're coming through with a snafu. Maybe you feel like you take 3 steps back in this area this week or something like that. You guys know what kind of healing journey I'm on, so I'm not excited about this one, but it's just a setback, and there's like, don't beat yourself up, don't get, super angry. It's just a setback. It's okay. Just keep moving forward, basically. All right, what other challenges? Let's get through this quadrant up here. Okay, Oracle, wait for important information. Okay, so okay, I'm trying to talk too fast. You are having issues with waiting for information, okay? So it's not exactly, it's not saying that you have an issue with patience. It's kind of saying like you have an issue with relying on, actually, I kind of want to say certainty, right? It's kind of, and it kind of goes with the theme that's going on here. It's saying like maybe we're waiting for, maybe the path A, path B is a new job, but maybe we're waiting for information about, do we have to relocate for it? Do we have to, maybe you just like don't have all the information and you're kind of waiting for the information. But so it's saying it's a challenge to maybe make the right decision, or, maybe it doesn't have to be connected to the fork in the road card, but it definitely feels like we're waiting for information that we haven't gotten yet. And that's making moving forward challenging. That's making the week challenging in some way, shape, or form. I mean, patience wouldn't be a bad thing. Patience is the virtue, so maybe waiting for that, but it's almost kind of Spirit is like alluding to the fact that like you don't need the information. Like you can't wait forever for the information. Like you can't wait. Maybe you are trying to decide if you should stay in your current relationship or move on. And you're not sure if the person in the relationship is going to go to therapy, or the person is going to marry you, or like whatever it actually is. And so Spirit is kind of saying like, I know it seems challenging and you want all the information first, but I would still kind of use your intuition, common sense, discernment, logical thinking, all of those put together, and make the decision anyway, I would say, or move forward anyway. So you don't need to have all of the information. It could also be like I kind of want to say like a trauma response where you have to have all the information before moving forward. So we can feel safe, but, and I definitely resonate with that, but it's saying you don't necessarily need everything. So don't drive yourself crazy if you're just, don't let it hold yourself back, I would say as well, if you're trying to have all of the information available to you. At least this week, I will say. All right, what's changing? Exchanging gifts. Okay, so this is really about like a proper give and take. It's like an exchange, so it could also be like a barter situation kind of going on. We have another card in the deck that's about that in the other deck. But yeah, this is basically saying like the even give and take. So things are definitely balancing out. People that you're giving to are giving back. So anything that you've poured into is pouring back into you. If you've invested into something, you might get returns back. So I feel like it's like a big change, right? I feel like it's definitely something like if you've been really putting a lot of work into something, you can reap the benefits of that reward. And get it back, basically. So if you've actually been investing in like a company, maybe it's going to be a good week for that company. If you've been investing in your health, hopefully this applies to me, you'll see like a lot of your return on that investment. Like, if you're on a weight loss journey, which I always use as an example, maybe you're actually seeing the results this week, like you fit better in your pants or whatever, in your clothes, etc. So I definitely feel like it's an even give and take. Maybe you've been, it's up to you and your sibling to take care of your aging parents, and you've taken care of them all year. And now, your sibling is able to tap in and now take over a lot of the duties for the following year, for the next year. So something along those lines, but I feel like it's kind of big like that. Like I definitely do feel like it's kind of like a weight off your chest in that way. And yeah, I see and feel nothing but like positive things coming from that. So that's cool. All right, focus, thief. Okay, sheds light on the potential wealth within you that can never be stolen. Okay, so this is basically saying the things that can't be taken from you, your ideas, family. So, okay, how do I explain this energy right now? I'm going to try my best. I wish I wasn't on 4 hours of sleep, 4.5 hours of sleep. So basically it's saying like focus on the things that can't be bought. Okay, which is interesting because I think we kind of almost had not the same card, but almost like a similar or actually a conflicting energy to this, where it was talking about splurging maybe on a luxury item or a material item or something like that, like go for it kind of situation. This is kind of saying, all right, now this week, focus on what can't be bought, right? Focus on maybe you went for it and you made that luxury purchase. Now this is saying like focus on the things that can't be bought. That's your morals, that's your integrity, that's your family, that's the people that care about you. So it's actually saying like focus on those things. Creative ideas. This is also good if you have like an idea like for a book or a product or a company. Like it's saying like protect these assets is kind of what it's saying here. So take that as you will. Could also be kind of like linked to, you know, being grateful. I wouldn't be surprised if a gratitude card kind of came up here because it's kind of hinting to that energy in a way. But yeah, that should be the priority for the week. Makes sense going into, you know, we're in holiday, you know, really into holiday season now. And so a lot of these themes do come up. How the Grinch Stole Christmas comes to mind, right? All, you know, the Grinch stole all the presents, but they still had Christmas anyway, right? They still loved each other. They still had each other. Okay, so they focus on what's important. So it's a great movie if you guys haven't seen it. So anyway, that's what's going on there. Reflect. What do we need to reflect on? Warrior, be fearless, and stand strong. Yes, I like to see the warrior, especially after we had the issue with the healer here. So it's kind of saying reflect on all the times that you were strong this year or in the past. Reflect on your sense of resourcefulness, your sense of resiliency, your sense of mental fortitude, all of those things. It wouldn't be a bad, this is kind of random, but it's kind of linked to this card, but it's a little bit more on the specific side of things, but like almost I'm getting like stoicism. If you guys don't know what that is, it's I guess it's considered a philosophy. Yeah, just look into it. I don't want to butcher or anything, but if you feel called, of course. But yeah, so this is basically saying like reflecting on like how you stood strong, how strong you are. Give yourself a pat on the back because it's not an easy feat. Yeah. Also too, like maybe like on the shadow side of that, like maybe reflect on ways that you feel like you were, I wouldn't say weak, but like all the times maybe you haven't stood up for yourself or taking care of yourself or like, you know, that kind of thing. And that could actually very much be connected to the healer that we have the issue with at this point. So yeah. All right, responsibilities. We have come to the edge. Okay, so this is basically saying like, all right, I'm pretty much ready. But it's under responsibility, so this is basically saying like it's your responsibility to kind of get everything ready. Right? Maybe you feel like a change is coming, which it is in this, you know, we talked about exchanging gifts already, but maybe you're waiting for another type of change. And so Spirit is saying like, get everything ready. Get everything ready. I know somebody right now that is trying to get pregnant, okay? They have done everything that they possibly could. They got the surgeries to make sure that they don't have the endometriosis inflammation going on down there, so they can, you know, they're priming their body. They're eating extremely clean. They're just like doing everything that they possibly can to bring this, you know, to get pregnant and to get this baby, you know, to develop, to get this going, you know, to get this baby, you know, to get her pregnant, you know, to get pregnant. So basically that's part of it. I mean, it doesn't feel like it's like that huge maybe, but it's saying like get everything ready. Like this might even say like going to the next step and like, you know, planning out what room the baby's going to be in or figuring out, you know, thinking ahead about, you know, like reading baby books, things like that. Like it's saying like really get ready. That's your responsibilities. Like get ready for your next chapter or get ready for a dream that you have or get ready for the next steps because the next steps are coming. Maybe it doesn't feel like it's quite there yet, but it's definitely coming. So this is saying like get ready for it. Okay. So that's your responsibilities this week. All right, money, finances, and career. We have the shadow of the beggar, dependence on others to the exclusion of effort. Okay, so this is about, oh God, let me just say what the energies are coming through. first, and then I'll try to like smooth it out. So almost like asking for a handout, or God, I hate saying that, but like spending a lot of your energy on asking for favors, spending a lot of your energy on dependence of others, that kind of thing. Now, God, let me make sure I say this correctly. It's in money, finances, and career. So this is kind of saying like it's time to put in the effort and not necessarily coast anymore, maybe is the best way to say this, okay? Now, if this does not apply to you and you're listening to this and you're like, I work so freaking hard, nobody hands me anything, I hustle, I've worked for everything I have, that's wonderful. This does not apply to you, okay? But this might mean that there's maybe something that you've been coasting on or relying on that maybe is just not serving you anymore. And I implore you, you know, if this is triggering you a little bit, kind of like really think about what this could mean or how it could apply to you. Like, what are we being dependent on in this area of life? So let me see if I can think of a good example for this. Let me think. If you are relying on Social Security, which you earned, you worked your whole life, now you have Social Security, but you're just getting by on it. You don't like how your life is. You're not getting that much from Social Security. You've worked your whole life. You don't want to work anymore, but you don't have the things that you want, right? It's not that you can't work. It's just that you don't want to work. Does that make sense? So again, sorry if I'm triggering anybody, but this is what's coming up. I'm just trying to say it, you know, in a way that makes sense. So maybe this is saying like it's time to maybe get a part-time job or figure out how to bring in more money or something like that. That's the best example I can get from this. If anybody has a better example, like a real life example about what's happening to you, please put it down below. I'd love to see it. I'm not quite sure if that resonates with me quite yet. I'd have to actually think about it and process it, but yeah, so I don't have a personal example, but yeah, so it's kind of saying that. It's kind of saying like no more coasting, you know, it's almost saying like we gotta hustle more, or at least we're kind of getting into the energy of that. So yeah, take that as you will. Again, would love to hear how it resonates with anybody out there. If you are brave and willing to share. All right, surprise. Spirit Fox, trust your talents and changing times. Okay, so you'll be surprised at how quick you pivot to something. You'll be surprised at how an old talent might come in handy. Like something happens where you have an old skill or an old talent that kind of gets recycled or is needed this week, and it kind of comes out of the blue. Maybe you're trying to help your daughter get ready for her ballet recital, and she rips her costume, and then you have to reach back to the deep of the closet, find your sewing kit, and sew it up, you know, because you only have a certain amount of hours, you know, it's later in the evening, and you don't have time to go and get it sewn up by a professional. So you bring out your sewing skills, and guess what? You do it, right? Because I definitely feel success here. So it definitely does feel like in some way, shape, or form this week, an old skill or hobby or talent of some kind comes, you know, is needed and kind of comes out of the blue because it's under surprise. So I like that. Handy and resourceful, right? Like I mentioned resourceful here in the Warrior. You are resourceful for sure. All right, friends, we have poise. Okay, so this is basically saying like, okay, I'm ready. You know, it's kind of similar to the come to the edge a little bit. It's kind of saying like, I welcome new experiences. I'm kind of ready to go. I would say maybe this is like one notch before the poised, but similar energy. So it's in the friend group. So maybe you're ready to make new friends. You're like almost there, right? So there's like a lot of like almost there. We're almost there kind of energy, right? And so maybe you're almost ready to kind of get out there and meet new friends. You're almost ready to tell your friend, have a hard conversation with a friend. you're almost ready for that, right? You're almost ready to get that, try to find a way to get integrated into your community, like that kind of thing. You're almost ready to have that conversation with your parent. All right, because this could also be family. I've mentioned that before. So it's kind of saying like you're almost there. Maybe you have to do a few more things to get ready. These can obviously be connected since they're similar energy. So maybe you need to talk to your therapist more about how to approach your parent or something like that, or your spouse. Well, this is more romantic connection is for spouse. So forget what I said about spouse, but maybe you're trying to find the best way to kind of approach them about an issue, and so you're kind of nailing it down in therapy still. Maybe you need one more lesson, one more session is what I'm looking for. That's the word, or 2 more sessions or whatever before you kind of like bring up the stuff about your childhood or something. All right, romantic connection. We have destroyer. Oh, I don't love that, but it's in the light. Releasing what is potentially destructive, preparing for a new life. Look at this, guys. You cannot make this stuff up, okay? Come to the edge, poise, destroyer, okay? These energies are basically like, prepare yourself for a new life. I know we have 3 slots left, and we only have 1 from the 1 deck that has the new life card. I would not be shocked if it comes out because of this energy so far, but maybe not. Maybe limbo will come out, the one that's between 2 worlds, but this is basically saying you have to release what is potentially destructive that's not allowing you to move forward. And it's in our romantic connection, guys. That means in our love lives, okay? That means in our romantic lives, our sex lives, okay? So we have to, figure out what we're leaving behind before we go forward and kind of destroy it. And honestly, this feels pretty big. If you've had codependent patterns or controlling patterns or, whatever kind of patterns in your relationship, I feel like this spirit is asking us to really check ourselves and make sure we leave it at the door before going forward. Okay, so we're destroying something, some bad habits, some tendencies, whatever. I like this, guys. I do. I'm sorry. I'm a Gemini, okay? I like new stuff. I've talked about this before. I can't live Groundhog Day one more day. I swear to God. I swear. I need change, okay? I need new. Especially the situation I'm in now. I love change. I'm not somebody that is, afraid of it. I embrace it. So that's why I'm loving this energy. But I know maybe some of you guys, not everybody's the same. But I would lovingly, open your arms to it because I see nothing but like good things about it. A good change. All right, what's important, Sun? Okay, I love this. Enjoy success and happiness. Not too much more I can say here. Make time for something that brings you joy. It's important. Make time for something that will make you laugh. For laughter, go see a funny movie, go see a comedy show, whatever. Make time to, spend time with a pet that makes you happy. Treat yourself. Maybe, it says enjoy success. So maybe, buy yourself something for the holiday, that kind of thing. All right, health and wellness. We have To the Sea. Okay, so this is about, we actually haven't had this in a while. This is about alignment. So things are starting to align for health and wellness. So if you feel like you've been going against the grain or hitting a wall or feeling like you're forcing something, you definitely feel more aligned this week. Maybe something changes, again, that word change, where I'll use the weight loss journey again. Maybe you were on a diet for like the last 3 weeks where you kind of changed it up because you were plateauing. And it's just so hard to stick to. It feels like you've been eating all this stuff that doesn't taste good and you're always starving and it does not align with you. And maybe you switch it up this week and now it feels more in alignment to you. It feels good. You're still on your weight loss journey, but you're finding a diet that works best for you. It doesn't make you hungry all the time. It doesn't make you hangry all the time. So it definitely feels more aligned and doable for you. Like it's not like you're like pulling teeth to be able to get it done. That's the way that I see it. Things flow better, which is great. We always love when things flow better. All right, overall outcome, we have orphan child in the shadow, feelings of abandonment that stifle maturation, seeking inappropriate surrogate families. Okay, not the best card to leave off on. So basically it's saying that we're feeling abandoned, we're feeling alone. we're feeling misunderstood. We're feeling maybe not seen. So yeah, guys, I can't sugarcoat this one. This definitely does feel like maybe we feel abandoned in some way or alone. Could possibly mean that we're spending a lot of time alone this week. It might be more of like a reflective type week, which makes sense. I didn't get really any cards that are social, like social butterfly type cards, right? Or, you know, more of like a social week. I didn't get any of the networking cards that we have in the deck. A lot of like preparing for stuff, a lot of contemplating decisions to make, and a lot of reflecting in general. So yeah, I would say that's about right. So yeah, that could definitely be it. Like maybe we're spending a lot of time alone this week. So definitely the sun makes more sense that it's here and important, where it's saying just do something fun. Don't forget to do something fun. So fun and joyful. So yeah, there's not too much more I could say here. It's just, it might be like a little bit more of a gloomy type week in that way. Also too, guys, it's the dead of winter now. I mean, we're going into the winter solstice. Yeah, we're getting into winter. So, you know, we hibernate more, at least for those that have seasons. So that makes sense to me. You know, I don't see it as anything that I would actually not really call it even like a red flag. I think that's too dramatic, in my opinion. So yeah, I don't see anything that would really be maybe red flagish type energy here. Yeah, guys, I have nothing else to say. I'm looking at it. I think it's going to be a pretty decent week. If you tend to get seasonal, seasonal affective depression disorder, I would just pay attention to that. I think that maybe that's the last thing I want to say. Maybe it starts up this week. That isn't great, but definitely could be a possibility as well with this last card. So yeah, okay, guys, you've got a lot on your plate. So I hope you guys have a wonderful week and see you in the next one. Bye.